You're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. As always, my name is Jake Ricker. Alongside me, it's Matt Cannon. Guys, welcome back to the show. Matt, still that middle of the offseason, but we're getting close enough to where the Lightning can now post countdown graphics with our players. I believe we're at like 80, just under 80, or no, it's under
80.
We're getting close. We're getting close. That's the point. And it's very exciting to have hockey right around the corner. But first and foremost, before we get into it, guys, welcome in. If you're joining us with us live, happy to have you here. But Matt, how you doing today?
I'm all right, Jake. You know, some weeks it's, taking people out to the islands and looking for scallops. Some weeks it's working on diesel trucks and the hottest day of the year. It was that kind of week for me this week. So I'm glad to be doing this now. This is my relief. This is my comfort. Even if it is, us, scrambling for what little bit of news we have, this is my relief. So I'm always happy to be here. Jake, yourself, you're coming back from a vacation, are you?
I am. I was down in Pennsylvania for a couple of days. Just had the All-Star break for the minor league baseball season. So, yeah, a little bit of a break for myself too, but nice to be back and ready to go and talk about some more hockey. Quick comment here. Lisa saying, hey, Lisa, how you doing? Happy to have you back. Don't forget, if you are not with us live and you're watching this later, we appreciate you checking out the shows there, but you can follow us on social media at RBLR Sports. Ring that bell for notifications too, so you do know when we go live. You can join, just like Lisa, have a conversation with us, get your opinions in there. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say each and every week, so be sure to drop in here when we're talking live. But we do have a couple of things to talk about, Matt. And the biggest thing that happened since our last show was, of course, the schedule release. That came out for every NHL team. We now know the home opener. We know the big home stretches and away stretches that they're going to have, all that fun stuff, the back-to-back games, the rest versus playing teams that are tired. We're going to dive all into it and get into that schedule because I'm super pumped that we know what the Lightning season is going to look like here, and I can't wait to get ready to go for this season. Matt, did you get a look at the schedule? Any overall? Now, I was a little disappointed about you, but Matt, there wasn't much of a schedule. Like the NFL does a whole – now, listen, the NFL has their schedule release on another level than any other sport, no question. But there was no theatrics with the schedule release involved. I know a couple of teams did do some videos. The Lightning specifically did not. Kind of just put out the schedule in a graphic. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish, we would do something a little more NFL-esque, even some, it's not every NHL team that does it. It's not every NFL team that does it, but it's such a fun, cool little crumb, something to get you interested, to get your eyes on it. You have to have, a media presence nowadays. It's 2025. And again, the Lightning media team, nothing against them. You do a better job than what I would do, but, have some fun with it. I don't know, if it's the higher ups telling them to keep it very PG and on the rails, but I love when a social media team goes off the rails a bit. Like we were talking before the show, the Tampa International Airport, their social media team is just killer most all the time. Some other teams like the Carolina Hurricanes, their Twitter admin is just always on fire. Amazing. So if we could just show a little bit more life and, if we could have had a cool schedule release, that'd be great. Like Buffalo Sabres, even, there's not a whole lot to cheer about with them. So you kind of do have to make up for it in some other areas. Is that important? You have to make up for it in some other areas. And the Buffalo Sabres, they had a really funny one releasing like wing flavors that were, themed to the teams that they were playing that they released. The Blue Jackets, they did a parody, of the Jackass movies. They called it Jackets. They had Coach Dean Evison like doing some funny pranks too, like just something like that. Not just like you said, here's the schedule. So a little bit more, but it doesn't have to be over the top. Just something kind of fun would be great, especially in the dog days of the offseason.
Well, I do remember last year they did do a small kind of video. It was just kind of Tampa landmarks, and I think at the Tampa Theater, they put a little image in for their schedule release last year, like, hey, we're playing this team this many times. They kind of just went around Tampa. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was a little something, right? Just like you're saying that. But yeah, it was a little. And the Lightning social media team has put out some really, like specifically when Yanni Gourde came back to Tampa.
Yeah.
That is by far their best video they ever put out. Now, Matt, you're talking about having some fun. The Lightning did do that recently, and we're going to get to that later. If you haven't seen what they did on social media today, I don't even know how to explain it, but we'll get into it. We'll have some fun with that. But let's get into this. Actually, real quick, Matt, I want to bring this comment up here from Beverly. She said, what the heck is going on with all this talk about letting go of McDonough again? Beverly, here's the good news. I have not heard anything about that. I'm not 100% sure what you've seen. Matt, have you seen anything on this?
This is news to me. This is why we love our fans, too. This is why we love you guys. You guys are filling us in on the news, too. So, no, this is the first I've seen it. And, my immediate reaction would be, why?
I wouldn't understand it. So McDonough has 1 year left on his contract, and then he would need to be re-signed next year. We all know what happened the last time they traded him and then having to go get him back, and how even JBB himself said, listen, well, we all know it was a tough situation, the cap situation, being a flat cap for those years. And he even himself said, even after all that, he's like, probably shouldn't have let him go. We probably should have kept him here. So I would be very surprised if they very easily let him go. Our producer, Eureka, is saying it looks like there is a report that came out, so the Lightning were considering trading Ryan McDonough, although McDonough is eager to remain with the team. I don't know. This is coming from the Hockey News in Yahoo, it seems like. I'm not putting any stock into this right now because, again, McDonough wants to stay here. JBB said before that he thinks bringing him back was one of the best decisions that they made. They probably should have let him go. He's a key piece of this defense. He's a leader. There's so many reasons you keep McDonough here. There's very little reasons you would trade him again. So I would be shocked to see that happen. And it's not like the Lightning they're in a cap crunch, but the cap's going up. They don't have that many guys to re-sign next year. We talked about that last time. So I'm not putting too much stock into this.
Yeah, it's a Nick Kypreos report too, and you need to take everything he says with a grain of salt. I'm not his biggest supporter on all his rumors. He's kind of a wannabe insider, and even a lot of insiders are kind of, very 50-50, and that might be being generous with the reports. Who knows if it's true or not? It could just be, part of the, late, or mid-off-season rumor mill. Who cares? Who knows? But I just don't understand. Like, you've already made all your moves. Free agency is over. You don't intend on, at least I don't think so, making any other moves. The only reason I could see you intend on moving McDonough would be, he's got a bit of a high cap hit. What is it, 6.25 per season or something like that? Which you have
around there, 6.7.
6.7. Okay, so a little bit higher. That is a bit of a steep cap hit, but
with his contract coming up next year, Matt, someone's so upset that they might be trading McDonough. They're banging on something in Matt's house. But $6.75 million, and then the next year's contract is up. So you would think that they will be able to get a little bit of a lower contract next year, especially with a guy that wants to stay in Tampa. So Beverly, don't fret too much. I wouldn't put too much stock into this. It's not a majorly reported thing right now. It could happen. You never know. We don't really know either, but I wouldn't overly fret about this right now.
The only thing I can think of the reason why they would want to move him is because, he makes a lot. If you have another move, a hockey trade coming for maybe another defenseman or, another big money, high level player, that's just not a player you get rid of. It's not a cap dump player. Again, we saw Julien Brisebois and everybody in the coaching staff saw how much we missed him and how much when we got him back, how much we needed him. It just doesn't make a lick of sense to me. So I really hope these rumors stay rumors, and I hope they're false rumors too.
I'm right there with you, Matt. I don't see any reason that this should happen, but wanted to report on the news. Beverly, thanks for dropping that question in there. All right, let's get back to the schedule, though, for the Lightning that they did put out, and there is a lot to look at for this schedule. So, of course, Matt, let's start. We're going to kind of go month by month here. Some months are a little more basic than others. But we'll go through month by month here and check a couple of things out that stick out to us. Starting off with October, of course, the home opener for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They will start the season at Amalie Arena, which will be played on October 9th at 7 p.m. against the Ottawa Senators. Matt, I'm a little surprised it's Ottawa for the Bolts home. The Lightning tend to have some weird home openers, I think. Like even the Penguins a couple years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of times the league will often open with like a Stanley Cup rematch, or you'll see a lot of division opponents. I don't know if the NHL does that much, but I feel like especially for the Lightning, it's kind of just random. Like, so Ottawa's a little bit weird to have as a home opener, but the Lightning will get to open the season at home, which is nice.
Yeah, I remember 2 years ago, it was the first game of the season. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Nashville Predators. And like, it wasn't just, our home opener or anything. No, it was the opening game of the season. It's like, yeah, Southern market teams, I guess, but what's the storyline? I don't really know. Like, it was a nationally broadcasted game, so I didn't really understand that. I'm not complaining or anything, but yeah, it is a bit of an interesting choice. Like, I guess you could say it's the 292 expansion teams. I'm not sure if it'll be nationally or locally broadcasted. I assume it's probably going to be just locally broadcasted, but still, I don't know. Is there a team that you'd like to see, like maybe the Panthers or like the Bruins, somebody like you're rivaled with?
Yeah, just division rivals, I think, would be a little more fun. Kick off the season in a big way. This team that has a lot of history behind themselves, and these two teams don't like each other, and really get the season going. That's kind of what I think of for a home opener like that, or just, again, like Stanley Cup final rematches, two premier teams in the NHL. They don't tend – now, listen, there's a lot of logistics that go into these schedules and making them and how it all works. But, Ottawa just – now, granted, we do play Ottawa very weird every year, and it's going to be a ridiculous game, I'm sure. So we get to have our heart rates fired up right away at the start of the season.
Yeah, you beat me to that one, is that at least it won't be a boring game. The games against Ottawa are always, hair pulling. They're always – very fun or heartbreaking. Like they're just never boring games. So I guess they might know what they're doing with that one.
Now, interestingly enough, so Lightning will play 2 home games to kick off the season, and then they're going to go on the road in the second week, and they will play 4 road games, 4-game road trip, both of which are split into back-to-back. So the Lightning are going to play the Bruins, then the Capitals on the 13th and 14th, and then the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets in the 17th and 18th. Why they're both doubled up as back-to-backs in that whole entire week when you could space them out, I don't know, but 2 early back-to-backs for the Lightning. So I guess the argument here, Matt, could be, hey, at least we're getting some of those back-to-backs out early in the season.
That's true, yeah. Get them while they're, still fresh and while they're, their legs are still with them, their breath is still with them. If, you're getting them out of the way early. I'm pretty sure we do have, like, the most amount of back-to-backs in the league this year. We're, like, up there with them. I didn't count, but just looking at the schedule right now, there's just more and more and more coming, actually. I don't know if we're getting them out of the way early.
There's always a good tendency with back-to-backs for the Lightning. Also, Beverly brings up a good point, and I wanted to talk about this because it's something that I notice every year with the Lightning, and I don't know why. So opening night for the NHL is on the 7th with a triple header. They do tend to do this now the last couple of years. They have 3 games. They try to stagger them. They're never staggered enough, and they always roll over onto one each other, which I always think is really funny. But that's the 7th, and we just mentioned that the home opener for the Lightning is on the 9th. That's 2 days after. Why are the Lightning always behind in games played compared to everybody? Have you noticed this, Matt? Every single year, the Lightning are always like 2 or 3 games behind everybody else. I don't know why, but if you haven't noticed it, watch it this season. They're always behind in games played, I feel like.
I don't mind it. It kind of gives you a little bit more runway and you can kind of see what's ahead of you, I guess, instead of, having to look in your rearview mirror if somebody's catching up on you. Like it kind of does suck because it skews the stats. It makes you look a little bit worse if you're down, say 6 points in the standings or something, and you win 3 games that you're behind the next team on. You can make up ground really quick. So I don't really mind it, but it is an interesting thing that you do bring up.
It's weird because like if it was every once in a while and then sometimes Lightning were up in games played and then it would make more sense. But every year they are behind in games played. It's just interesting to me that it seems like it's always the Bolts for that. Now, Matt, I gotta be honest with you. I don't like this schedule that we have this year. The more I look at it, the Lightning in the third week of the season are going to have 4 days off in October before they come back home after that road trip to play against Chicago. What is the NHL trying to do to me, man? Here, 4 days off after I get hockey back, and you got to make me wait that long for the next game? That's just cruel. But a little bit of a break there before they come back for a 3-game homestand. Nothing else really crazy in the month of October, but a lot going on in that early month when it comes to the back-to-backs, the home opener, and that 4-day break.
Yeah, as I'm looking at it right now too, I'm glad there's not a whole lot of Sunday games too. Like, I have recently become a big Bucks fan in my life too, and it's always kind of hard, deciding which game to watch. Like, yeah, you can multitask, but it's easier said than done. So I'm glad that there's not so many Sunday games. It's always a pain when I got to choose between the two.
There is nothing worse than when your team is playing at the same time, and you're absolutely right, because you don't want to have to multitask. Like, you want to get your full attention on one team and give them your all. So, but you are right. There is not a lot of Sunday games this year. I think looks like March would be the most, and there's 3 in March.
And by March, the NFL season's over too. So I know the NHL intentionally doesn't do a whole lot of Sunday games for that reason. It is kind of silly to compete against the NFL, but again, it's always kind of like, Eureka's always used this example with, the Lightning and the Avalanche, but it's like if your wife and your mom are fighting and you have to pick a side, there is no correct outcome or anything. There really is no good way to go about it.
Moving on to the month of November for the Bolts. This is probably one of their busier months. Now, you do have a couple of months that are crammed in with a lot of games because, of course, we have the big month in February where we're going to have the Olympics this year, which I'm super, super excited for. But so because you have that long break, you have to cram in some games in other spots. But November, biggest thing to note for me, Matt, in that one, you will have a 3-game homestand in the third week of the month. And overall, when they're going to play the Rangers and then the Panthers down on the road, which isn't even a long trip, and then Vancouver, New Jersey, and Edmonton. So you have 4 out of 6 home games right there. And then you go a little bit further, they will have another quick 1 road game, and then back home for 2 more home games again. So a pretty decent stretch of low travel in the month of November for the Lightning there.
Yeah, November looks like an almost, legitimate checkerboard when you're kind of looking at, the post that they made. It seems the most evenly spaced out. There is a back-to-back to end the month, but it's only just the one back-to-back this entire month, really. So I'll take that any day of the week. This seems like the most consistent scheduling, I'd say.
It does. And that stretch in November where you have a lot of those home games, that could be a point where the Lightning really take advantage and win a lot of those games and get up in the standings.
I feel like we always kind of do tail off in November, maybe come out of the gates a little bit hot. And then November is a bit of a tough month for the Lightning too. So that might be in our favor. I don't know what last year looked like, but ideally, it's a little bit better of a situation.
Looking at the month of December here for the Bolts, they are going to have a 4-game homestand right before the holiday/Christmas break. So that is really nice for the Lightning. I do love that the NHL has always had that week off for holidays and Christmas, where they have the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th off. I think the NHL is maybe one of the only sports that's in season during that time who doesn't play games on Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is, which I kind of enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a, football tradition on Thanksgiving. So, again, hard to compete with that. I don't know if it's a competing thing or if it's also, let the players be with their families type of thing. I'm a big fan of them not having any of those games because, again, we're all busy those days, or that week for Hanukkah too. So I'm a big fan of that. Leave it to the big boys, leave it to the NFL. I think the NBA does Christmas games too, and so does the NFL. So leave it for them,
Yeah, that's going to be nice to have that little bit of break. The NHL always does that. I do think it's a nice touch. Moving on to January, this month a little bit heavier when it comes to road games, Matt. Only 4 total home games for the Bolts in this month. So a lot of travel on the road. They're going to be out in San Jose, in LA. That's the West Coast road trip mixed in there. But always tougher when you're on majority of those games on the road and having to travel a lot, not getting to be home. But we just talked about earlier too, November is kind of that more heavy home month, so that one kind of counterbalances it.
Yeah. January always, it seems like it's also a bit of a November. It's a tough month. It's kind of, you're fully cemented in the season. It's the middle of the season too, so you got to travel north to all these cold, northeastern and Canadian cities too. It could be a tough month on the boys. It really could be.
Now, we should also know in January that, of course, is going to be Gasparilla, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is on January 25th this year. The Lightning do not play on the 25th. They are going to play on the 26th. So they will have a home game. Didn't they have a home game one year on Gasparilla?
They had the All-Star game.
Was it the All-Star game? Okay, yeah.
Which I was a big fan of. Again, seeing Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson in the Pirate outfits. Tampa.
Awesome.
I didn't go to it. I'm bummed I did, but it must have been chaos down there. Again, the All-Star game, I feel like it was still a big draw. It's always a big draw for the local crowd. And again, middle of the season, you got a lot of snowbirds here and people visiting, their families down here too, from up north. So a huge crowd of, guests and people going to watch the All-Star game because it's, also outside of the arena as well. It's not just inside the arena. And then Gasparilla on top of it. It must have been mayhem down there.
It was, and it was awesome. It was a ton of fun because I was there for those games, and I loved it. I do kind of wish, I guess, logistically, it would be an absolute nightmare to have a NHL game in Gasparilla on the same day. But that would be, man, would that be fun? Go to the Gasparilla parade and then walk over down. You could literally go along the parade route and then make a detour over into Amalie and watch a Lightning game in your Pirate car. I mean, that would be fantastic. I'm all for that, but it doesn't look like we're going to have that this year. I'm sure they kind of do that on purpose because they do not want to have games on the same day. It would be crazy. No question about that. And then February, Matt, this is the big month for the NHL season. Now, I'm excited for February and I'm not excited for February, and I'll tell you why. So let's start off with the excitement part of it, right? Of course, February 1st, it's the outdoor game. The Lightning are playing in Raymond James Stadium, taking on the Boston Bruins, February 1st. I am so excited for this game. I cannot wait. Going into Nashville for that outdoor game was absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait for Tampa to show out for that one. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I'm still kicking myself for not going to the Nashville game. Like, I had all the pieces in place to make it happen, and I just didn't pull the trigger, and I'm kicking myself for it. Even still, 3 years down the road, I am not missing this game. I got no excuse to. It's a 30-minute drive. I don't care what the ticket is. I don't care if I'm sitting at the highest level at Raymond James. I am going to this game. I mean, I guess it technically won't be the first out game in Florida, but the Panthers, they have one. I think they have the Winter Classic. We're getting the Stadium Series, so there's no chance I'm missing this. The Bruins, they're going to be pretty bad this year, in my opinion. I think that's my not very bold prediction. They're going to be bad, so it's going to be a good win for the Lightning. In such a scenic location and such a great building in Raymond James too. Oh man, and I can't wait to see what the jerseys are. I still love the Stadium Series jerseys that we got last year. Yeah, the last time. Amazing. It's gonna be hard to top them, but man, every Stadium Series jersey is always pretty good. Not even just the Lightnings.
Also, I have a quick correction to make. I looked up because Google and their AI thing. I don't know why the Google AI is so bad. It's not good. Don't trust it if you ever look it up. I just went on the Gasparilla website. I stand corrected. The Gasparilla is on January 31st. So you're going to have Gasparilla and then the outdoor game the next day. 1 and 2 days for Tampa Bay. Gasparilla, and then you're going to have the outdoor game. Holy cow. That is going to be quite the 2 days for the Lightning and all of Tampa. That's going to be, and it's a Saturday, Sunday too, so that's a weekend. I apologize. I should have read your comment more. You nailed it. You're right. The outdoor game is on Gasparilla weekend, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
What if we get actual game Gasparilla Stadium Series kind of jerseys, like a little bit of a mashup this time? Because they're always the warm-up jerseys, and they don't even wear them in warm-ups
How
anymore.
many times have we said that we would love a Gasparilla alternate
Begged
jersey?
for it. Not just us, like everybody begging for it to be like a all-time, alternate. Like, dude, we're begging for it. If they don't do this, they're dropping the ball on it so hard. I just came up with this. You guys can email me. You guys can. I'll send you the bill for the creative licensing.
Matt, you got me excited even more because now I'm thinking about this. You're totally right. This is a real possibility. Why would you not do a Gasparilla themed jersey? It's in Tampa. It's on Gasparilla weekend. There are so many reasons to do this.
In Raymond James Stadium, where the Buccaneers
play. Oh my goodness.
Dude.
It's getting even better by the moment. You heard it here first, folks, right here on RBLR Lightning. The Lightning are going to have Gasparilla jerseys for the outdoor game. Oh, man. Well,
I hope we didn't set the bar too high.
I was just going to say, here's the problem. If they don't do Gasparilla jerseys, we are going to be extremely disappointed. But that would be fantastic. And also, I don't know about you, Matt. So they've done a couple of iterations, right? They did the black. This is now turned into a Gasparilla jersey podcast.
That's fine.
They did the black and gold. Then they did the white and gold, and then they did a white and black jersey. I believe those are the 3 Gasparilla ones that they have done. I still would love a white and kind of blue accent one. I think that would look so good. I don't know if they would do that because they are the home team. I guess they could go blue and black. There's a lot of possibilities. But I would like a blue-themed Gasparilla that really fits in with the traditional Lightning colors, but it's also still Gasparilla. Or oh man, you got my mind racing too much.
Go, Jake, go.
Do you go with a red? Now the red is not a Lightning color, but it's the Buccaneers. Or maybe you throw a little bit of red accent in there somewhere? I'm gonna be designing jerseys all night. This is not good.
You're right. It's very not Tampa Bay Lightning, but at the same time, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they've done bright red jerseys in the past, and we have essentially the exact same kit. They have a bright green jersey. Yes, I know it pays homage to the St. Pats who became the Maple Leafs, but still, they've done some complete other side of the color palette jerseys before. It wouldn't be out of the equation. It would be a bit of a stretch. Again, the Lightning, they're not exactly the most ambitious franchise in that aspect, but still.
I think it would be lower, but give me some blue accents with the Gasparilla jerseys. That's my main hope for. Even if it's a home blue too, that would be really nice. So.
I'd be fine if they reused one and just made it a little bit, because the Stadium Series. What am I gonna try and say? The font style or just the art style on it. It's very precise and edgy, and it's not very, you think of the Gasparilla logo, it's very detailed and eloquent and elegant, I guess. They might make it a little bit more simplistic, possibly. Oh my God, we're going so far off the rails.
I love this. This is why you subscribe to RBLR Lightning for the random off topic. You know what I'm thinking about now too, Matt, is one of my favorite Gasparilla shirts that I have is a blue Gasparilla shirt with it's a white. I got my Kucherov shirt on today, but it's a blue Gasparilla shirt, and then it's the white pirate logo in the middle.
Ooh.
And now this is just a plain T-shirt. It's just basic blue white logo, but that could work. That could work as an outdoor jersey with the.
Well, we lost Jake.
I'm back. I don't know why I was taken.
Jake.
All right, we should be good now. But yeah, man, there's a lot to think about. Let us know in the comments down below, what jerseys are you hoping for an outdoor game?
Eureka said creamsicle. Okay, let's move on.
Creamsicle though, because the Creamsicle Bucks jerseys, if you don't know, are absolutely fantastic.
Top tier.
That could work too. Oh, there's so many possibilities. Also, one more thing on the outdoor game. The Lightning must, and I mean must, use the pirate ship cannons when they score a goal. End of story. There's a lot of concerts that happen at Raymond James who do not utilize the pirate ship, and it drives me crazy every time that they don't do it. So that has to be a must.
And it was such a bummer in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago with the Bucks. They weren't allowed to use the cannons too. They couldn't be biased or whatever. That was dumb too. Do it for both teams when they score. Chiefs didn't score a whole lot, but still.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about more and more this outdoor game, obviously, as it gets closer and closer, and we do get the jerseys and all the new information. It's going to be a ton of fun, but we are already going crazy speculation, and I'm very much looking forward to it. A couple of quick comments here. Mr. Magic joined here. Mr. Magic, welcome in. By the way, he also asked about the McDonough comments. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and basically we said don't put a lot of stock into this. We don't buy into it. It doesn't really make any sense. He also asked, if you guys can name your opening night lineup, what do you have? There's a lot of question marks still right now, and the Lightning made a lot of signings of guys that could play at the NHL level and could not play at the NHL level right now. We got to see what they do in training camp, but I'll say this. I think the lineup looks very similar to how it did last year, but Geeky, I would imagine, is going to be back, and obviously a couple of the fourth liners are going to be different, but a very similar lineup to last year. I'll see if I can pull something up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, the free spaces, Point, Gensel, Kucherov, that line was insane last year. Cirelli and Hagel playing together with whoever on the second line. You could put Geeky up there. I thought he looked good with Nick Paul, though. Geeky did. Gonsalves probably going to be, third line winger down with Nick Paul. That third line right wing is going to be an interesting spot. I'm not sure who really fits there.
So
and then the fourth line.
I think your top six is pretty solidified, right? Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Paul, Gonsalves, Geeky, Bjorkstrand. Actually, I'm just realizing this thing that I'm looking at has Paul on here twice. I don't know why it's on Daily Faceoff, the lines. And then Gord. So we'll say so Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Paul, Gonsalves, Geeky, Gord, Bjorkstrand. Now you can mix and match those lines however you want. But I think that's pretty solid for the top six. I think the question marks come in that fourth line, right?
Yeah.
The guys like Holmberg that the Lightning signed in the offseason there. Are there any going to be other AHL guys that make the jump?
Jacob Pelletier?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of questions there. And that's the biggest difference is what is that fourth line going to look like? We will absolutely get into this more as we get closer to the season and we kind of know what we've seen from those guys in training camp. So again, another reason to make sure you like and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on an episode when it does happen, because we'll definitely get into it more. All right, back to our schedule. I know we got way off track there for a little bit, but also in the month of February, you're going to have the the Olympics, which will be happening that month. That is why there is a giant 3-week gap with no games. Now, there is still a full week, essentially, of no hockey, and that accounts for, traveling over to the Olympics and all the logistics there. But, oh, man, that's going to be a little bit of a rough stretch, especially after that high of the weekend we just talked about with Gasparilla and then the outdoor game, and then you're going to have no hockey for about 5 days until the Olympics actually start. That's going to be a little rough.
That is a little rough. But again, just having the Olympics for the first time since, 2014 or 2014, 2016, we had the World Cup. I can wait a week for the Olympics, man. It's going to be a little bit tough, but it's been 11 years, man. It's about time we've had something good come our way. I guess 12 by then. So I'm fine waiting a week.
I'm so excited. And if it's anything like the Four Nations face-off was, which I imagine it will be, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So I do agree with you there. By the way, February 11th is supposedly when the NHL Olympics will start. I say NHL Olympics, but when the Olympics will start. So that means from the 6th to the 10th is when you're going to have that break of hockey until we do get more games again from the Olympic side of things. But it'll be very exciting. Another thing that we will absolutely break more and more down as we know the full rosters for those teams. Going to be exciting to see how many Lightning players sneak onto that Team Canada roster, as we know how many got into it for the Four Nations face-off. So we'll get into that more as well. Also, we did just find out today that the Lightning had another coach named to the Team Canada and that is Dr. Ryan Hamilton, who is the mental performance consultant. So congratulations to him on getting selected to go to the Olympics this year and join them. So that's really cool.
I don't have a whole lot to say about the mental health performance coach.
I didn't even know it was a position.
But, I mean, good for him. You're a doctor. You're making a hell of a lot more than me. But yeah, I did.
Congratulations to him on getting to go to the Olympics. That is super cool. So then moving on to the last couple of months here for the Lightning in this regular season, you got March, which is going pretty balanced, I would say, Matt, when it comes to that one. You have basically a week of away, a week of home, a week of away, and a week of home. It's kind of how it goes for that month, but a pretty balanced last full month for the Lightning.
Yeah. It's crunch time these last 2 months. Week of home, week of away. I guess it's consistent at the least. If we're going to be making up games like we were talking about earlier too, I guess, you can look forward instead of having to look behind you of anybody catching up. I just hope that we can find a little bit more
back-to-backs, by the way, in that month.
Oh, really? Of what, April or March? March. Okay, that's pretty cool too. Yeah, because April's a bit of a truncated month. Playoffs start.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected. There is one back. The Saturday, Monday, the split there that gets me every time. There is one back-to-back. I apologize.
And there's a lot of them too. That now that I'm noticing too, a lot of them are away back-to-backs. There are a lot of back-to-backs with travel. Honestly, I'd say about 99% of them are. Which now this schedule, the more I look at it, the more it's getting me upset. So
it's not, and we kind of said this earlier, but yes, Matt, it's not great. Like the Lightning have a lot of back-to-backs. You're right, there are a lot of away back-to-backs. There are a couple of home back-to-backs, but you have those back-to-backs. You have a couple of long extended breaks of 4 days or more. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we do have some really big events coming up this year, which is the exciting part at the very least. So that's the good news. And then the Lightning will round out the season in April, go a little bit deeper into April again for those extra games because of that Olympic break. But the Lightning will close out the season on the 15th against the New York Rangers. So kind of a fun game to close it out. Lightning and Rangers have kind of had a little bit of a rivalry going for a little bit now. At least the fan bases don't like each other. We'll talk a little bit. I
agree.
That's how you get to close the season out against the New York Rangers.
Yeah, it's always nice closing the season out with, a homestand. God forbid, or not a homestand, a home game. God forbid, you miss the playoffs. At least you can do your send-off at home or something like that. And it's always nice to maybe be the person that ends the Rangers season 2, if they're coming down to the wire. Oh, man, that'd just be great.
Well, they got to make it there first for us to do that. But it would be entertaining. Hey, that's the schedule for the Lightning. Be sure you can go on the Lightning website to go check it out, that schedule in full for yourself. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think about the Lightning schedule. We're that much closer to hockey. We're getting there. We're on our way. We've got the schedule. And before you know it, that season's going to be here. Which, by the way, Matt, that means it's time to gear up. And you can head over to shop.rblrsports.com and use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. We've got some awesome Lightning-inspired merch over there for you guys as well. Also, all the other great Tampa Bay teams, the Rays, the Bucks, the Rowdies, the Sun, you name it, we got it. Links, as always, are in the description below, so be sure you go check that out.
So, Jake, before we wrap it up here, I do want to ask you a question.
Yes.
The last 2 years at my place of work, my Christmas gift for my boss has been a 10-ticket package or 10-game package to Lightning games. 2 tickets to 10 games. It's amazing. I love them so much. They're great people. It's not so much of a surprise anymore. The first year, it was like, oh, my God, you guys are amazing. Second year, it's like, you guys are still amazing. A little bit less of a surprise. This year, they're like, you know what we're getting you. We'll let you pick the games this year. You can talk to Danny, the season ticket rep. Good dude. So I have my choice of games now. It will still be, December-ish era. So I'm not going to do, any October or November games. But are there any games other than, of course, the Stadium Series games that stick out to you? Any that you might want to go to, Jake? I'll hook you up.
Oh, man, big games. Well, let's quickly take a look. I mean, in the month of December specifically, you've got the Penguins, the Islanders, the Panthers, the Kings, the Hurricanes, in the Blues and the Canadiens. The Panthers game is always fun because you have the rivalry too between the state. And I'm trying to look. There's not anything like super crazy. You've got Penguins is always a fun game. You don't know what that team is going to look like. Is there any games that stick out for you right now, Matt?
So there's another one. Of course, I would like to do a Panthers game. I'd love to be part of the chaos. I've been to a Panthers game before. I really want to go to I guess it'd be the only game the Oilers play in Tampa. It's always a treat to watch Connor McDavid, but man, if Isaac Howard's in the lineup, I want to boo my head off. I really want to. I think it'd be really funny if he doesn't get to play in the NHL this season because that's exactly what he's looking for. But man, if he's in the lineup for that game, I want to go to that game. So I think that's one that I have penciled in too. To our listeners
that one
and our
is
commenters.
November 20th.
Okay. Oh, sure. I might not be. I might have to buy that on my own. But oh well, big deal.
That is a good game, though. That is a good game.
Yeah. Regardless, even without that storyline. It's always a pleasure to watch Connor McDavid. It's always a treat. Anybody in the comments have any suggestions too? I might just tell Danny, here's 3 games that I want to go to. You pick the rest. Because he's been really good, the season ticket rep guy. Because last year, I think the record was 8-2, and I think it was about the same the year before as well. So if you can get me 8 wins, dude, that's awesome. That's great. I'll take that any day of the week. And really good games too. I think there was maybe out of the 20 that I've been to, just 1 or 2 kind of games. And you can't really say that about many hockey games. A bunch of overtime winners, a couple of shootout winners. He chooses them really good. I feel like if I had that power, and I do have that power, I might screw it for myself. I might go 0-10.
Well, it's going to be fun. And by the way, quickly on the Oilers too, in that Isaac Howard situation, I was not on the show last week when you guys talked about that. I love that trade for the Lightning. I think actually, considering the situation, JBB did a really, really good job. I love the prospect that we got. I think he's got some really good potential, and we all know how good the Lightning coaches are in developing a lot of these guys. So I'm very excited to get a former first-round pick, very equivalent similarities to, what Isaac Howard would be. I think that was a really good trade, especially knowing that he was going to be gone no matter what. I mean, I was thinking second-round pick is what you might get for him. So to get a former first-round pick, I'm very excited about that. And I believe most experts are saying that Howard might be the better prospect now, but our guy, which is O'Reilly?
Sam O'Reilly, yeah.
Sam O'Reilly, yes. He could be the better prospect long term, which I'm totally okay with. And at the end of the day, as long as he wants to play here, and good with me. So yeah. I'm very happy with that trade and how that all ended up to work out. So that'll be what if somehow O'Reilly's in the lineup for that Oilers game? I don't
see that happening.
But what if though, Matt? That would
both of them drop the gloves, center ice. There we go. That'd be great.
That one talking. But there's your schedule for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's going to be a fun season. Don't forget to like and subscribe right here, guys, because we're going to be talking about a whole lot more. Beverly, I saw your comment too, asking about she wants to say next week, could you guys explain the emergency goalie traveling with the team new rule? Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a look at it because we did have the new CBA all getting finalized and all that fun stuff. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you like and subscribe, bring that bell for notifications, all that good stuff. Hit the share button if you did enjoy this, because we will be talking about that more and more as we get closer to the season and all the fun speculation and when we do get more news on the outdoor game and all of that fun stuff. So, but Matt, I think that's going to do it for us in this episode. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next time. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.